The Romeo 1 Pro is Sig's revision to the Romeo 1. I reviewed the Romeo 1 back in the day and I quite liked it. It was super lightweight, it had some kind of magnesium shroud. Some folks had issues with it, but mine was fine. And Sig used a proprietary footprint and that didn't really catch on beyond their own pistols. Fast forward to now and they updated the Romeo 1 to the Romeo 1 Pro, which we're looking at today. The housing is now aluminum and it comes with a steel shroud, putting it on the level with the Delta Point Pro, which it shares a footprint with. So let's take a look at it. Are you ready? Stand by. Welcome back to the channel. I'm David and this is the Sig Sauer Romeo 1 Pro from Sig Electro Optics. Fun name to say. To satisfy the FCC right out of the gate, this was actually sent to me for review by Sig. So eventually they're going to ask me for it back and I'm going to give them money out of my wallet so I don't have to take it off my gun.
Garth, if I were to give you some money out of my wallet, would that ease the pain?
Because this one, similarly, is a Romeo 1 Pro, but I bought this one with my own money already. You can see where this is going. This is going to be a positive review and I will show my work as to why. But before we get there, I'm trying to get 100,000 subscribers this year on YouTube and 75% of y'all aren't subscribed to the channel. So if you could consider subscribing, I'd appreciate it. Maybe wrestle the phone out of your children's hands and subscribe to me on their phones as well. That'll all help. If you're having so much fun you want more, there is the Patreon link as well in the description, where you can see exclusive content, including early looks at videos and stuff that just doesn't make its way onto YouTube. So check that out. So let's talk about the Romeo 1 Pro. Stop me if you've seen this before. You get a new pistol, the slide is cut for the Delta Point Pro. You don't really like Delta Point Pros because the dot is so far over the bore, it's only got one button and they're prone to breaking if you drop them. I feel like some of you guys have seen that one before. So now, my default recommendation for any Delta Point Pro optic cut is going to be the Romeo 1 Pro, and I'll tell you why. Now, they're not perfect. We'll go through why I don't like these optics, and then we'll tell you about why I do. So let's get started with what's wrong with the optic, and the answer is not a terrible amount, but there's some things that can be improved. First and foremost, we'll just do the little pedantic stuff. When you have the shroud mounted, it's difficult to touch the buttons. I know, it's a pretty small thing to gripe about. You can make it happen, but I've got fat fingertips, and trying to get at those itty bitty little buttons through the shroud cut, it could be better. Next, it takes a 1632 battery. Good news is that the battery is super easy to change through the door on the top. Bad news is it takes a specialized tool like a, I don't know, screwdriver to get in there and do it. Now, I tried to do it with a case rim and I couldn't make it work. Maybe if I tried like a 45 case rim, I could make it work, but a 9mm case rim, I wasn't able to make it open. You will need some kind of tool to change the battery. It'd be awesome if the slot was the exact same size of a 1632 battery so that you could use your new battery to get out your old battery. That'd be great, but that's not the way the lid of the optic door is cut. The windage and elevation adjustments are set up so you have to use a jeweler tip screwdriver to make adjustments. That's annoying. A case rim, specifically a 9mm case rim, would be ideal. I think that's really the way and what needs to happen on future revisions of the optic. Next is that the adjustments do not have tactile or audible clicks, so you're kind of looking directly at the thing and guessing how much you're dialing in. I prefer the clicks, but it doesn't appear to affect how it holds zero, so all to the good there. Taking a quick time out, as far as the gun is concerned that's riding on it, this is the Sig AXG Pro with the Lock G10 Veloce palm swell grips. Don't talk about these nearly enough for how good they are. It's the exact same setup that I have on my AXG Scorpion, except for I got the, I guess that's the OD green set on there. These are the camo set. Yes, I really do use lock grips on pretty much every gun that they fit on. And the reason for that is this particular frame with these particular grips is heavenly. You can check out my review on the gun there. So let's talk about why I really like the Romeo 1 Pro. First and foremost is the clarity of the glass. There is a blue-green tint, but you almost don't even notice it unless you're looking for it. The clarity of the glass is amazing. There's no distortion around the edges so that it basically just kind of gets out of the way. It's not enough of a tint to where it's distracting and you notice it, and it's enough of a tint to where there is contrast, the red dot shows up better, and to that point, the emitter gets really, really bright on full sun days. So like if you're in the middle of the summer, this dot is gonna be fine. That's saying a lot because the Texas sun can wash out some dots. Vortex have a hard time keeping up. The smaller Delta Point Pros do have a harder time keeping up in the full Texas summer sun. Romeo 1 Pro passes that test no problem. The next is the shroud going around the outside of the window is relatively narrow. Specifically, if you don't use the steel shroud on it as well, just the aluminum housing is narrow enough to where it's almost like the window's not even there. If you're focusing really hard on your targets, it's like the shroud and the housing sort of drop away and there's just this little glowing orb that is teamed up with you trying to hit targets. It's that good. It really kind of immerses you in the shooting. So it is absolutely a shooter's red dot. It's offered in 6 and 3 MOA, but the connoisseur and gentleman's choice is the 6. And something that Sig does with their emitters, I don't know what it is, but I have an astigmatism, and even uncorrected, the dots are less starbursty than they would typically be. I don't know why that is. This is, I guess, the 3rd model of Sig optic I've tried on pistols. The old Romeo one was the same way. The Romeo 3 Max is the same way, and now the Romeo 1 Pro, they all do it the same. They're all very easy to shoot dots. Even with my astigmatism, the Sig dot, if I bloom it a lot, like I just totally max it out, it's still pretty much a perfect circle. I just get like a comet tail down and to the left, but I mean, it's pretty good as maxed out as it is right there. But if I dial it down to what's appropriate for this lighting, it's almost a perfect sphere. I mean, I get a little bit of star bursting, but not a terrible amount. So I'm not exactly sure what Sig does with their optics to make them not aggravate my astigmatism as much, but whatever it is, they're doing it and I certainly appreciate it. Now I realize with this review there's questions I haven't answered because I honestly don't do destructive testing on optics. I'm more interested into whether or not they're going to break through recoil, which traditionally has been the downfall of more optics than punching fence posts. But if you want that full Aaron Cowan punching fence posts experience, so far as I can tell, this will hold up to that, but I'm not going to be the one to do it. Summarizing Aaron Cowan's video, he thinks the optic is squared away for concealed carry use, but maybe wouldn't use it in a duty holster where you'd be rolling around with it on the ground. I can echo that sentiment because I've carried it in a concealed carry context and it's been totally great for concealed carry. I haven't had any issues with it other than my t-shirt lint lands on the backside of the lens. So if you've got a way to stop that from happening, I'd love to hear it. But real talk, Trijicon kind of has the market cornered on the indestructible shroud game because of the patents that they have on the RMR. So everybody else is trying to sort of figure out a way around that and create the most robust sight that they can. Sig's done a fine job with what they've got here. I honestly don't know how the customer support is if you have issues with optics, because that's honestly a very important piece of shooting with optics on pistols is they break eventually, and you need good optic support from the manufacturer. So I don't know what that support is like because I've never had one break. So that is the Romeo 1 Pro. I think it's a great optic and it's my go-to choice and recommendation for a Delta Point Pro cut slide. I appreciate you guys and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.